All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. Do let me know in the chat if the audio is fine. If it's fine, then we can continue the live stream. We're going to be taking a deeper and closer look on Bitcoin. Once again, guys, do let me know. I'm not sure if the chat is working. All right, everything is fine. That's good to know. That's good to know. All right. First off, everybody doing okay? Did y'all have a wonderful weekend? And are you ready for the upcoming week? We do have a big week coming up because we've got the Ethereum ETF that is going to be going live on Tuesday. So that's going to be important. It's probably going to be the main focus point going into this week. Nonetheless, we're going to go have a look at some structures. We're going to be taking a look at VWAP, going to be taking a look at TPO, some altcoins that I'm looking at when we do form an actual low on Bitcoin. Once again, guys, this stream is currently sponsored by Bybit. If you do want to support the channel, you can sign up through the link. As you might see, there's a QR code on the stream as well. It has a direct link to my Discord because going forward, I will be giving free memberships and access to all of the indicators that you're seeing throughout this stream to people that are trading on my link. More information is in the Discord below. Everybody can check it out. With that being said, volume is really low. I'll do my best to hug the mic a bit more. All right, I'll do my best. With that being said, first things first, weekly prep. Today, 21 of July, tick size on Sierra chart. I'm still using a 55 tick size. Impactful news events for the upcoming week. I think, we do have a bunch of impactful news events, but I think the main event in terms of crypto is going to be the Ethereum ETF that goes live on Tuesday. It's going to be very interesting to see if there's an actual demand for the EDF. I'm thinking that it's going to be really interesting. The dynamic that we saw on Bitcoin was, I believe, if we go back, it was January 10, right? This was where the Ethereum or the Bitcoin ETF went live on Bitcoin. If I recall correctly, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking, if we're getting a similar playbook, be mindful that we could be setting up for a retracement after, the announcement that we're actually going live with the event. Could be really disappointing, but who knows, right? That being said, we're going to be taking a look at some structures to have a level-headed approach going into this week because it's going to be an important one. And I'm going to be starting off with market profile. Opening up Sierra charts here. Top left screen right there, we can see that we had 2 days of overlapping value right now. This is today, this was yesterday, right? And this was on Friday. On Friday, we auctioned higher. We took out a negative value area high, and then we saw more consolidation here. And the thing that Bitcoin tends to do is it tends to form this structure before it cleans up the inefficiencies below. So what I'm saying here is that we cleaned up a naked point of control. I want to be aware of that. We had a poor high right there, which we just spiked above the poor high, and the composite that is currently relevant is a very old composite with the composite value area high there and the composite value area low there. Why do I think it's still relevant? Well, we can obviously see the interaction with that level, right? So once we start trading back within the composite, this is probably going to be the range for a while, but who knows? The things that I want to be aware of again are we just cleaned up this poor high. We do have a poor low intraday, and we've got a naked value area low there combined with a single print gap. So if Bitcoin is going to be seeing a retracement, I'm expecting it to go from this point on after sweeping the highs. What else do we have? The right side is basically the same chart. I'm waiting for today to close. So let's say that today closes like we do right now. I'm going to be merging this day into the previous day to give us a new 2-day composite to work with. That's going to be interesting. Other than that, I do not have any auctional beta on that. On the left bottom side, we can see weekly profiles. This right here is a old weekly composite value area low from the previous weekly consolidation. We can see its relevance once again, right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. And now we're spiking above and we're kind of getting back below. So I'm thinking, if we are not able to accept above, we might be in, for some retracements, at least towards the equal lows, maybe this equal low. And then we've got that single pin gap here as well. So that being said, I think the most important takeaway here from this point on from TPO is that right here, we have a 4-month composite. We are currently trading right there. That's an indication to me that if we are going to be closing within this 4-month composite, we are back to bracketing between the value area high and the value area low. And that also means that we are likely to revisit the upper boundaries. I'm just not sure if we're going to be revisiting all the way down towards 62K. If we're going to be doing that, I'm of the impression that this entire region here around 62K is the area that really needs to hold a support for continuation higher, right? Of course, short term, we've got more levels to work with, but from a higher time frame approach, now that we're accepting back within a 4-month composite, right? This needs to hold a support for continuation higher. In terms of the audio, I can't really tune my audio up because the microphone is already at max. I could look at, let me quickly check, edit filters, add filters, gain, add gain. Let me know, is this better? If I'm adding this filter close, this should increase the audio of my mic. And do let me know if it's getting worse as well. And I'm sorry if you're deaf right now, but this should be better, right? I can't really increase it much more. All right, so this is better. Do we need to increase it a bit more as well? Because I think I can increase it just a bit more. But let's go with this. Okay, cool. So let's summarize this all together. Let's summarize it. Market profile. Okay, that's good to know. It's better, louder for sure. All right, let me just tune it up a bit more. Let's see how high we can go. Filter, edit filters. This is the highest that I can do. All right, let me go back. Let's go with 20. All right, close. All right, so let's go with this, yeah? If it's unbearable, do let me know. Market profile. We cleaned up the poor highs from yesterday into an old composite value area high. Right there. Let me just fine tune it a bit more to make it good for everybody. 15. All right, 15. This should be good, right? We do have poor lows intraday. And we are trying to accept above an old composite value area high. We have a clear shift in. It is also on YouTube, bro. You can check it out on YouTube, definitely. We have a clear shift in condition back within the old 4-month composite value area, all right? So definitely check it out on YouTube, Grant. It's on YouTube and on Twitch and on Twitter, so whatever platform you prefer. I figured I'd do a multi-platform stream. Let's go back towards the TPO charts. The things that we've covered are, we had a poor high, which we just cleaned up, right? We have a poor low intraday, and we have an old composite. However, we are trading above that old composite value area high. So short term, I'm expecting upside as long as we're holding above the composite value area high, which is why I tweeted that below 67, that's going to be bearish. This is going to be that bearish invalidate, that bearish confirmation that we're likely heading much lower towards the poor lows, naked value area low, and that single print gap that we have around 66K, right? As long as we're trading above, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of a squeeze, but we'll see. Short term, it's definitely looking iffy for the upside here. The other thing that we outlined here is that we have that weekly composite value area low, which has been acting as resistance throughout this entire consolidation. If we're not able to accept back within that weekly composite, we need to be expecting a move towards that poor low. The last thing that we outline is that we have this 4-month composite that we're currently trading within. As long as we maintain above 62K, like 62K to me is like a super good area to look for potential longs. If we can move towards that area, now I'm not saying that we're going to be doing it because there's a previous quarterly VWAP somewhere around this level. But in event when we do, this genuinely needs to hold, because if we fail to hold the support, that's going to be really ugly for Bitcoin, right? That being said, the next topic on our list is the longer term VWAP. Right here, right? Let's move back, reset chart view, longer term VWAP, and we're going to be starting off with the yearly. In the previous stream, we have outlined this low, and I said, I need to remain bearish as long as we trade below yearly VWAP. However, once we start trading back above yearly VWAP, the likely destination for this leg higher is probably going to be that yearly developing value area high, right? Because all this really is it's a profile, right? It's a distribution. Value area high, value area low with a point of control. If we are unable to accept below a point of control, what does that mean? It means that we're less likely to move towards the opposite extreme. And at that point, we can expect a reversion back towards that developing value area high. In this case, the yearly developing value area high. So I would say that the yearly is looking decent. It's looking good. And I'm expecting a lot of sellers to step in around 70K on the yearly. Moving towards the quarterly. Right there. So the quarterly accepted. This was that previous quarterly value, right? We had a previous quarterly value area high, previous quarterly value area low. This is that point of control. That previous quarterly VWAP is confluent with a Q1 value area high from this area right here, right? If we extend that throughout time, we can see that it's pretty in line with each other. And it's where we're getting rejected to the tick right there on that lag higher. Now that we're trading above, I need to see this area hold of support, which is roughly around 65.5K. We'll dig into it once we get to a price action chart. But in my opinion, if we want to see a move towards previous quarterly value high, which is around 69K, this needs to hold a support. So whatever happens going into next week, let's say that the Ethereum ETF, that the data is really disappointing and that we're getting a similar playbook that we saw on Bitcoin on January 10 earlier this year. Let's say that we spike upwards and then we start trading lower. At that point, this needs to hold a support for me, because acceptance back below that area will be really bearish in my opinion, because that means that we're trading below a 4-month point of control. We're trading back below a previous month VWAP. We're trading back below previous quarterly VWAP, right? And I mean, if we're getting that, you best believe that we're going to be retesting that 62K region, right? So don't be stubborn when we do lose this as support. Going towards the monthly, now we can clearly see that there is a lot of confluence between monthly value and previous quarterly value. In this case, previous month VWAP capped the upside and previous month value area low capped the downside. So a super crystal clear trade here on the failed auction below previous month value area low for a reversion back towards what? Towards that VWAP level. Now that we're trading above, I think it should be no surprise that if in a scenario where we do revisit these lows, these poor lows, and we are not able to accept above that 2-week composite value area low, remember what we said during the beginning of the stream? Let me quickly go back towards TPO. That 2-week composite value area low, right? This area right here, as long as that is resistance, we need to be mindful that we might be rejecting here and that a move back towards previous month VWAP is on the cards. Previous month VWAP is confluent with previous quarterly VWAP. So in an event where we do this, right, I want to see a reclaim of that low followed by continuation higher again. That will be my short-term bullish line in the sand. Like my bullish invalidation is below this level, because at that point, it means that we're trading back below a previous quarterly VWAP and we're likely going to be trading back towards monthly developing value high, and potentially even, right, that previous quarterly value low confluent with this low on the monthly, which is again roughly around 62K. The final thing that I want to point out here, and this is short term, is on this chart, we've got high volume bars with an aggregation of spot order books. We've got a weekly developing value high, weekly developing VWAP. So tomorrow, this weekly value will close like this, right? Extended throughout time. This will be previous week value high. This previous week value high will line up with previous quarterly VWAP, previous month VWAP. So all in all, I think this is a really good short-term validation if you want to have a bullish bias going into this week. Any spike below this low that is being capped by that previous week value high confluent with the quarterly and the monthly will provide a good buying opportunity, in my honest opinion. However, if we fail to hold this as support, we're going to go much lower, in my opinion. We're going to be filling in the inefficiencies there, right? So that would be really bad. What about really, really short term? Well, remember the 2-week composite value area low, right? It's somewhere around here. These were the poor highs right there. Today, we just spiked the poor high, and by doing so, we formed a high volume bar with a point of control right here. I think it is safe to say that once we start trading below that high volume point of control, it will also indicate that this is that old value high from that daily composite, right? Once we start trading below, we're probably going to be filling in these poor lows. These are the poor lows intraday, and this is that single print right there. So, that will definitely be a trade in my book, and that's what I'm looking at going forward. Is everybody on the same page still so far? Are there any questions right now whilst we were going over VWAP? Any question is welcome. Do let me know if it is not sure, or if you are not sure on what we've just covered. If everything is fine, I'll be moving towards the weekly prep and annotating everything. So again, if you have questions, send them. So deviation below yearly VWAP, right? Now that we are trading back above, likely destination yearly developing value high. Do I think that we're going to go towards yearly developing value high in one straight line? No. For us to go towards that yearly developing value high right there, I want to see previous quarterly VWAP confluent with previous month VWAP, right? Look at the crosshair. If I go towards the quarterly, now look at the monthly, right? It is almost exactly the same as previous month VWAP. So 65.4K-ish is going to be our, short-term bullish line in the sand, in my opinion. My bias is, not short-term. I'm thinking that we're going to be running these lows because, we've just spiked these poor highs into that 2-week, right? This 2-week composite value area low, and it's a Sunday evening, and to me that's usually an indication that it's just a run of the highs, and we're going to be seeing some mean reversion back towards fair value, and that will be below these lows, or at least in the middle of the range, right? But going into the remainder of the week, as long as we trade above, and that's when I go towards a regular chart, as long as we trade above a 4-month point of control, previous month VWAP, right? Ideally, this entire area holds as support. As long as we maintain this as support, I'll be looking for longs. If there's an event where we do get a very large cascade lower and we clip into that previous quarterly VWAP and all of a sudden we start trading back above, this needs to be instant, in my opinion, right? Because the more time and space we spent below 4-month point of control on the previous month VWAP, even though that this is a previous quarterly VWAP, the more time we spend there, the more bearish we get. So we'll have to see how far we go. But short term, now that we're even trading below that high volume point of control after rejecting off that 2-week composite value low, I'm thinking that these lows might be next. Oh, really? Did I miss something? Who's running? But who's running XYZ? And this isn't looking too saucy. I'm thinking that these lows, right? Oh, he dropped out. That's a good timing, right? So let's see. If we're going to go lower at this point, keep an eye on the 4-month point of control and that previous month VWAP. But again, do you see how confluent that is, this news event? Right? Because at the beginning of the stream, we were saying, and I tweeted about it, well, we've got a high volume point of control there. Start trading below, and it's probably going to be cascading towards the lows. And if we take a look at right there, right here, that 2-week composite value area low, beautiful. Poor lows, and then again intraday, poor high into a naked point of control, swept it, poor lows, naked value area low. So it's good to see that even if you're not really watching the news, the setup was still there. Oh, that's insane timing, bro. He will not run. That's going to be this is going to be an interesting week for sure. I might do. So who's going to run? We've got 900 views right now. Pretty sure y'all are better than Biden at this point. And I'm short and I can't close during the stream. That's shit. But let's see. Right there. Weekly developing value area high alongside previous month VWAP. Below that and we're fucked, right? So acceptance above previous quarterly VWAP. Confluent with quarter one value area high. As long as we maintain previous quarterly VWAP as support, we can look at previous quarterly value high as a destination. Yeah, I mean, the news was in the chart, right, guys? I mean, for those of you who were at the beginning of the stream, like, it's just, this structure right here, this right here. And I think for the guys of the group who are watching today as well, I believe we covered this exact same distribution last week or something during a live prep where I said, oftentimes when Bitcoin is forming a short-term high, it will form value and then at least 2 days where it spikes the high and then it reverses instantly. So, this is just, it's golden. It's good to see. Moving forward. I mean, damn. What are the altcoins saying? AVAX is going to be going to the shit, in my opinion, but not too Gucci. All right. Let's go for it. Right there. We have also acceptance above previous month VWAP, which is confluent with previous quarterly VWAP dash of a 4-month point of control. If we're going to remain bullish, this should really hold as support. And then we have weekly is imbalanced up. Yeah, I think this, I'm not sure. I'm not a politician whatsoever. I have zero understanding, but to me, this is just a technical setup where, especially if you take a look here at TPO, and I mean, we have poor highs waiting there. It's an inefficiency, right? We open up, bracket around, we form what? We form equal lows. We continue to auction towards the highs on a Sunday evening, right? We deviate above poor high, get back below. This is your short trigger. What do you target? You do not get cocky thinking that we're going to go back towards 62. This is just a technical trigger. Entry, exit, right? Confluence to your trade idea was the fact that we were not able, bottom left screen, to accept above that 2-week value area low. We just covered that during stream. So, if you're short, this is a good TP. And then, you can definitely trail because going forward, what do I want to see? I need to see the composite value area high here. Now that we're failing to hold above that old composite value area high, I need to see this area hold as resistance. So we could do this, but then I need to see continuation lower because we do have a naked value area low there. And we do have the single print gap there around 66K. Now let's have a look at a regular chart. So in terms of confirmation that we are on the right side, that we're looking at the good things is that we swept this high. We're trading below 2 high volume point of controls. Now the pink bar is a deviation 2 of volume. So this is going to be very important. This area right here lines up with that value area high from the composite. Needs to hold going forward for what? For a move back towards weekly developing value area high. This lines up with previous month VWAP. If we're going to be seeing bars stepping in, I expect it to be here. Acceptance back within. What do we expect going forward? A simple reversion back towards VWAP. And that's how we take it step by step, right? So no stress. We're going to be see what happens. Weekly is imbalanced up. Where tomorrow it will close as a prior week value, right? Because it's a new week. And that value area high will become the previous week value area high, which is confluent with previous month VWAP. So to summarize, we have a big week coming up now, especially with that news from Biden that he's not running. Big week coming on with Biden not running. And we have the Ethereum ETF going live next week. To quickly go back towards the beginning of the stream again, I'm sorry that I keep repeating this, but this right here, was it this structure? January 10, I believe it was this exact point in time where the Bitcoin Ethereum ETF went live, right? There we go. We flushed it out and then we continue to go upwards. Are we getting a similar playbook? It will just to replace Biden. I mean, Jesus. All right, so I'm just going to ignore that. We're getting a deviation below and then we continue to go upwards. Are we getting a similar playbook? Who knows? But be aware that this can definitely occur, right? Oh my gosh. All right. Moving back towards the weekly prep. Big week coming up. Ethereum ETF going live next week. That being said, even with the recent news, of course, there was a quality short above the poor highs. Confluent with 2-week was a value area low, right? And the high volume POC towards the equal lows intraday. Someone said Geert Wilders is an extremely right guy here from the Netherlands. He said, he needs to run for president in the USA. Towards the equal lows intraday. And I think, ultimately, if you got short here, this is a good take profit point for a partial of your entire entry, of your position size, my bad. And then going forward, I'm thinking, these equal lows confluent with 4-month point of control. I'm not going to be stepping in front of a moving train, but I do think if you're short, this is going to be a good TP. And if you're going to be accepting back below, well, that will be really bearish, but it will make way for new trades as well. So this is going to be important. Let's see what I said. Short above poor highs and the high point towards the equal lows intraday. Ultimately, for Bitcoin to remain bullish, I want to see the 4-month point of control confluent with previous month VWAP hold as support. Now, this is a bit of a tricky situation, mainly because previous quarterly VWAP is definitely below previous month VWAP and that 4-month point of control. So one thing that we do see with Bitcoin, let's get rid of that range high, is that sometimes we do get a large cascade lower. In an event where we do get it, let's say that we start to trade here, right? And then all of a sudden something else happens and we get a large puke lower. I will not be stepping in front of a moving train here, right? But if we can form a short-term range on a 30-minute time frame, for example, like that, and I get a deviation of that low and a reclaim of that quarterly VWAP, this is going to be a long entry in my book for a move back towards previous month VWAP, confluent with 4-month point of control. If we're going to be bearish, we're going to be seeing a rejection there, right? But I think it's worth the shot that if we do see a retest, that you position yourself accordingly for a you know, at least a mean reversion back towards 66.2. And then we can either see whether or not this becomes a deviation and we continue to go upwards. At that point, you are really well positioned for a move towards previous quarterly value high right there. If that's not the case, right, and we start rejecting here like that, just close your longs from this point. And at that point, I'll be looking for shorts for a bigger move lower towards, I don't know, I'll have to see at that point. But, you know, I wouldn't necessarily want to see acceptance back below, right? But I think, you know, short term, this was a good GP. For active management, right, there was a lot of positioning being built up here within this rotation. This needs to hold right there for continuation lower towards the equal lows, right? Because it's confluent with that old daily composite, and it's confluent with the majority of the positioning within this consolidation before we went upwards. I don't know if we have a lot of raw price action traders among us, right? But we do have a down close candle before we swept this high. And now that we've broken through it, we have a fair value gap right there, right? Half point of that fair value gap confluent with a bearish breaker. This is your resistance, right? We shouldn't be really accepting back above for a move towards the equal lows for your price action traders among us. Right. Confluent with previous hold as support, as acceptance back below leads to a much deeper retracement towards previous quarterly VWAP. Yes, I do take breakout trades. Great question. So for a breakout trade, what I wanted to see is, let's say we have got, and of course today is a bad example because it's Sunday, right? But let's assume that this area, let's assume that this area right here was, I don't know, maybe a previous month value area high. Let's just assume that this was that level. And on a Tuesday, we get a high volume bar with a point of control in the middle, and we break away from value. To me, that's an indication that, you know, there's a lot of conviction behind this trade. Like if there's a volume anomaly on a break higher, that's something that I don't really want to be fading. Now, of course, we have a lot of anomalies because it's on a Sunday and we do not have a lot of volume, but these high volume bars on a midweek day are much more reliant, right? So if we get this, I'll usually just take a long right there with my validation below that low. Because if I am correct, the positioning within this bar will remain interested if nothing changes fundamentally, which is oftentimes that you'll see, you know, for example, this breakaway from value right there, this high volume bar, right? It remains respected. If you have your invalidation below the low of that candle, you can capture that upside, right? Same story here. Positioning above 4-month point of control, stop below the low. What do you get? You get continuation higher. Do you see that? Do we need to zoom in a bit more? Right there, right? Right there. Once we break away, high volume point of control in the middle, I wouldn't necessarily take this trade because it's just too much room between entry point and your invalidation. But for example, right here, we close above, high volume point of control, invalidation below, gets respected, continuation higher. High volume bar above key pivot right there, invalidation, entry, continuation higher. So that's how I take breakout trades. If we do a breakaway from value without a anomaly within volume, I'm not interested in the breakout trade. Usually means that we're going to be seeing a mean reversion. Does that answer your question? What's AVAX doing? Bro, I mean, let me quickly take a look at AVAX here. Yearly value, all right, so we do have yearly value low, previous year value low. Big ass supply. That's looking gnarly, man. If we're going to be closing below 30, this is going to puke so hard. So how do you define if it's a legit breakout or a stop run? Well, it's basically placement. That's one, right? If I have, for example, the trade that this short that we covered you know, in the beginning of that stream, of this stream, is if I'm seeing this on Bitcoin where we have a poor high, we're trading at a key contextual level. Let me just get that in a bit better. This right here, poor high, yeah? So it's a inefficiency for Bitcoin to rebalance. It's a destination. This right here is a 2-week composite value area low, meaning this is just resistance until proven otherwise. We have poor lows intraday. We have a naked value area low there. We have single prints there with a composite value area low. So to me, the fact that we pushed above this high with a high volume bar right there on a Sunday, right? To me, it's an indication that it's just a, you know, a failed auction above the high, and, you know, there's not a whole lot of initiative activity to hold us up here for continuation higher. So one thing that you can do is take a short there with your validation below above the high, or you can wait until it gets below the first high volume point of control. Because if this is going higher, let's say that the high volume point of control here, let's go back to a regular chart. Let's say that we were bullish, yeah? This high volume point of control, this positioning within this bar should have held as support for continuation higher, but clearly it didn't. Do you think CME gap is good region for a bit? Really bullish like this, the 40k range, which we sweep any lows. Where's the CME gap at this point? Can you let me know? And this is going to be interesting here. Previous month VWAP. Again, remember, we can allow for my AVAX. I saw so many top longs today. And right here we can see, right? Previous year bearish, yearly bearish, previous quarterly bearish. Quarterly, we're not using it. Very bearish. AVAX at where it's trading. Moving the most. Decent Z-score as well. Right, let me zoom in for you guys. Right there. I might have missed it. Can you let me know in the 6061? Is that the CME gap? I mean, for me personally, like, if we're really going to be puking this, because right now we're already trading below the 4-month point of control, 30-minute time frame. Let's have a look. Weekly, filling in the single prints right now, right? We took out the naked value area low. Another good area to TP some, because we're trading at that composite and we're filling in the singles. Definitely trail your invalidation towards, I don't know, if we're closing the 30-minute, I don't want to see this 30-minute candle high being revisited. Let's see if we get something here. CME gap. The CME gap. All right. Too much deeper trading towards previous quarterly VWAP. What's the weekly narrative? Well, the weekly narrative here, you know, I'm going to be, after the stream, I managed to short this before the stream on the time that I tweeted it. So I'll be closing the short. Let's hope that we continue to go lower for as long as I stream, because that's good for me. But I'm thinking that the weekly narrative, where if we're going back towards VWAP, we genuinely need to see a reaction between previous quarterly VWAP and that previous month VWAP. Because if we do not see that, if we do not get anything between this area, I'll be expecting much lower prices. And at that point, right, if we're neglecting all the noise, let's neglect all the single lines here for a bit and only focus on the purple ones, okay? Can you guys do that? Right here. The range that we're trading within on the higher time frame is, this is our profile. Let me draw it out. Value area high towards value area low. This is our point of control. So it's no surprise that we're seeing some sort of a distribution or a two-way trade around this region, right? Ultimately, we are auctioning between, on a really high time frame perspective, right? Ultimately, we are auctioning between 62.7 and 69.620. behind the McDonald's alley. There's a nice gap there for sure. So for me, going into the week with a weekly narrative, with Biden not running for president, and we've got the Ethereum ETF that's going live for trading. Short term, for longs, I need to see the 4-month point of control getting reclaimed ASAP. Right, this low right there. If we're getting that, we might treat this as a deviation, mainly caused by a news-driven event. Right, of course there was a structural trade, but it got fueled by Biden not running. If we're reclaiming the low at the 4-month point of control, we might be in for more upside again. However, if I'm zooming in on a hourly chart, for example, let's say that we get this. Because if we're trading below the 4-month point of control on the previous month VWAP, this is now the range that we're trading within. And the range is based on a 4-month point of control as resistance and a previous quarterly VWAP as support. This is the lowest it can go, in my opinion. If this is the range, let's say that we start to do this, we don't tag previous quarterly VWAP and we don't reach 4-month point of control. Instead, we start a ranging environment, right? At that point, my focus will be on the extremes of that lower time frame range. You will never see me stepping in front of a moving train like this, right? I'm not going to be longing this. I'm not stupid. You will always get some sort of a range like we get right here, right? This is what you want to be trading. A clear defined range with anomalies where you can know this is a deviation, that's a good short or whatever, right? If we're getting this, I'll be looking for shorts at the 4-month point of control for continuation lower towards previous quarterly VWAP and potentially even, who knows, the 4-month composite value low. Conversely, if we form a range like that and we sweep the lows into previous quarterly VWAP, reclaim it, I'll be looking for longs towards the 4-month point of control. If we're accepting back above, that's totally fine. That's good, because at that point I'm positioned for a move towards previous quarterly value high. If not, I'll close the trade and look for shorts again, right? So do you see how, oh look at the interaction. I need to close my shorts because I'm getting blasted. If this is going to be the low, let's say that this is a high volume 30-minute bar and we close above the point of control, there's a decent chance that we might be consolidating and then we slowly start creeping upwards. But yeah, is that clear for everybody? In terms of the weekly plan, in terms of the short setup that we covered during stream, in terms of the management, in terms of everything. Because if it's clear, I need to go take some profits. Otherwise, I'll be round tripping this live on stream. All right? So I'll give you guys a minute to reply if everything is clear. If it's clear, we're good to go. Weekly developing value area high, previous month VWAP, right? Do you see how it works? It's good to see it in real time, right? High volume bar, destination, poor lows, single print gap, weekly developing value area high. If we take a look at single prints here, filled in, back within the composite. All right, guys, I'm signing it off. I'm going to be taking some profits because, this is just unfortunate. Anyways, if you want to support me, again, you can sign up on my link, or if you want to join the Discord, you can scan that little QR code on the screen with your phone and it will direct you straight away to the server. Thank you all again for attending this